So Baba's car would go there, and then Baba would get down and sit on the chair. And then there would be all Pune lovers gathered there, and Baba would be there for some time. They would sing Baba's Aarti, and then Baba would just wave at everybody, get into the car and drive off. And they would keep watching Baba's car crossing over the bridge. It could be seen from Bun Gardens, the bridge which crossed the river. And then Baba would... So before Baba would get into the car which took him to Nagar, he would first, I think, be driven in Adi's car. And then after crossing the bridge, Baba would get down and get into the women's car. They would be sent ahead. The women wouldn't be in during this darshan program. So the change of cars would take place there. Baba would travel in Adi's old fleet master that you still have in Ahmednagar. Yes. Baba would go in that car to Bangad. Yes, so that was the end of that eventful year. And then Baba returned to Meherazad and back into seclusion again. And he did his usual seclusion work. I have not much recollection about what happened there. We have records in Mani's letters as well as other diaries. But then again, but Baba kept his promise and called Mother to stay at Meherazad for the first time. And she thoroughly enjoyed her stay here. So
when was that? Like autumn months or something?
Yeah, probably say September, October. I don't remember. Yeah. But very soon after he left. Then he did call Manu also. And later on I was also asked to come. I could take vacation from my job, could get a month's privilege leave. So then I was also allowed to come to Meherazad. And I think that was the time when my annual visits to Meherazad started. Yeah.
So for that, in that year, you were there for a whole month?
Yeah, I don't remember, but I think I was here for a month. Which part of the year, I don't remember now. It's all lost. And then, of course, in the next year, I think that was 1960, then Baba again sent word that he would be coming for his usual stay at Guru Prasad. So again, we approached Sardar Raste, and the usual telegram would be sent, and it had become a sort of formality. So to await the Rani's sanction, and as soon as it would come, then I would go to Guru Prasad and start preparations for Baba's arrival. Of course, there was not much to prepare as such at Guru Prasad, because the Rani's staff would see to it that the place was kept in good repair and good shape and cleaned daily. But I had to arrange for extra furniture which we would hire from furniture hirers, and then arrange for crockery and other things. So it would take some time to get everything ready. And then Baba would come sometime in March. That would be the usual time he would come, because it would get very warm at Meherazad. So the Baba's usual slogan in March, we march to Guru Prasad. And all hearts would flutter in Pune, because they would be looking forward to darshan again, because in Meherazad it would be all strict seclusion, and not only seclusion physically but with correspondence also, because now the this phase began of stopping correspondence gradually. So Baba was very strict about that also.
I noticed in reading the family letters this week that about this time, Mani, who wrote those letters, was under the restriction not to refer to Baba's activities.
That's right, yeah.
And also there's a comment Ramani quotes from a letter Erich wrote to a Baba lover, to the effect that Baba seemed to be more distant with them. That usual chit-chat, it was as though he was not involved in it.
That's quite right. But when he would come to Guru Prasad, fortunately there would be a let-up in this sort of a thing. And even the close Mandali would look forward to this period. Although it would be very strenuous for them because of the darshan programs every day, the people would be flocking there and there would be hardly any privacy. But still to see Baba in a different sort of mood was a great relief to them. Because when you would be working in seclusion, Baba would be so withdrawn and it would be a very heavy atmosphere all around, because Baba didn't like any disturbances. And Baba's mood had to be taken care of. But whereas when he came to Guru Prasad, it was a different thing altogether. So everybody was relaxed and they didn't mind all the comings and goings of crowds. Yeah. So I think that year Baba gave darshan as usual. It's not very clear what happened, but it was open year for Pune people, I think. Yeah. And that stay passed off happily. And Baba returned again to Meherazad.
Would you be able to get time off your job to, I don't suppose during the week you could come?
No, it's only at the weekends.
The weekends, darshan was weekends.
Darshan also would be mostly at the weekends, but Baba would give darshan to outside Pune lovers also. So during the week there would be this constant flow of outside lovers. And mainly the weekends would be reserved for outside as well as the local Pune lovers, Pune and Bombay people.
Right.
So the weekends would be very crowded.
I always have gotten the impression from those who would attend these weekend sessions that they were just wonderful times. That wonderful fragrance and Baba.
But I think throughout the 3 months Baba would be busy giving darshan. Because when he opened the gates, then it would be open. But when he closed them, they would be really closed tight. You couldn't slink in unless he made an exception also. So then in 1961, in 1960, again Baba called us in turns from Bindra house. So my mother would go, followed by Manu. And Manu tells me that in 1960, during her stay at Meherazad, she had occasion to see Baba's intense physical suffering. Because it was at that time that Baba was struck with herpes facialis, or what they call, a very painful form of that particular illness. So, and it struck him on the face, the trigeminal nerve, as the doctors said. And that hurt his eye, his ear, and his throat. It spread on all these 3 nerves. And it was...
Was it one side?
Yes, one side.
The right side?
I don't remember. I'm not so sure. I think it was the right side. Manu said that it started with a small pimple near the top of the chin. And Baba said it was rather painful, and Gaver applied some cream to it. But in a couple of days, it spread very fast. And Baba's whole one side face was covered. And even part of the eyes, fortunately, it didn't go beyond into the eye. But inside his mouth and into the throat and into the ear, it was extremely painful for Baba. Yeah. And of course, Baba said it was part of his work that he had to suffer this. And Manu would be helping Mera and the other women to serve Baba at that time. So she describes it that it was a very painful stay for her to see Baba suffer like that. Yeah. And after that she was sent home and I was called. So Baba had by then fairly recovered from that, from the eruptions and all that. But it seems the after effect was still there. And Baba would not be in any mood. It was the first time that I saw Baba so completely withdrawn within himself. So I remember we would sit outside. At that time there was no such veranda or anything. It would be open air. So Baba's chair would be put out, he would sit there, we would be all sitting around him. And not a word would be exchanged. Iraj would try to strike up some conversation or the other, but Baba wouldn't respond. He would be just with his chin down like this and would force a smile sometimes. So it would be so painful for us to see Baba like this. We never saw him this way. As if for the first time Baba had lost his sense of humor, which was never before like that. So it was an extremely distressing sort of atmosphere. Yeah. He said he was having tremendous pressure of work. You have no idea what I'm suffering. Such stray remarks he would bring out. And once it became so unbearable that for the first time I heard Iraj burst out.
Jai Baba, we just had a power cut out for a moment.
Yeah.
But you've been talking about that intense experience around Baba when you were there in 1960.
I think the gravity of the situation affected the power supply also.
Yeah, the camera couldn't bear it.
Yeah, it was like that. It was a sort of nerve-shattering atmosphere at that time. And as I said, for the first time I saw Iraj burst out and tells Baba, really this is now unbearable for all of us. We request you to stop this suffering upon yourself, and we don't care for any benefit for us, we don't care for realization, burn us all up, but we request you to please ease a little burden on yourself. We can't bear to see you suffer like this. Yeah, so there was hushed silence, and despite all this, Baba just looked up and said, there was a slight shadow of a smile on his lips, and Baba just brushed him aside and said that he should restrain himself and not be carried away. That was the only response that Baba gave. Yeah. So you could just imagine under what stress he must be working at that time. To relieve the tenseness and all that, Iraj would ask Baba, we have arranged for a drive out to the pumping station. Let's go out there. Meherwan hasn't seen the pumping station, so won't you like to show him around? So Baba said, all right, let's go. But he was in no mood. But still he agreed. So I remember the car was brought here, and then Baba, myself, and a couple of other Mandli got in the car, and we drove down to the pumping station, and it was working at that time. So despite all this, Baba starts to show me, see how the water is flowing, it's being filtered here. And I was feeling so bad that Baba is showing me these things and he's suffering so much within himself. And just because Iraj has told him, so he's agreeing to take me around there. But it was a way that Iraj thought would just give him some diversion. Yeah. I'm just bringing home to you the situation that was prevailing then.
It was the sense of Baba's suffering. I mean, it sounds like there was a physical component, but there was also an awareness of another suffering, just that internal suffering.
Yeah, sort of.
From what you're saying, I gather.
We could feel as if he was in a sort of depressed condition. Yeah, physically. Yeah. But as he said, the pressure of his work was just unbearable, and still he had to go on with it. And the pain in his hip was there all the while. And then of course this pain was still there because it was hurting him quite a lot. Although the rash had subsided and all that, but as you know, this pain lingers for a long time, being a nerve problem. So he would have unbearable pain constantly in a very delicate part of your human anatomy, the face, and he had difficulty swallowing and all that, which was much less, of course, but still it was there. So then I don't remember when it was. After I went, I think, the pain became so excruciating that the neurosurgeon from Bombay, called Dr. Ram Ginde, was contacted. And was told about Baba's condition of the herpes and this constant pain which was bothering him. But I'm not sure when this was reported to him. I think it was at that time only, or probably later. But so then he had to be called, and Dr. Ginde came with Nariman and Meherji. I'm not sure. I think Meherji brought him here, and he examined Baba. For the first time, he had Baba's darshan, and
he did not come as a lover at first.
No. He was told that Avatar mein Baba. He was given he was given information about who Baba was, and that he's had this affliction recently, and was suffering pain. So would he come? And he immediately agreed. He was an extremely busy surgeon, being the top neurosurgeon in India at that time. Yes.
And he came all the way from Bombay.
Yeah. His reputation was such that later we came to know that some very rich businessman in Bombay had a very severe brain problem. He would do very complicated brain surgeries, mind you, this Dr. Ginde. So this man went to Europe, I think to Vienna or something, where the topmost brain surgeon was at that time. So when that man went there, he asked him, "Where do you come from?" He says, "From India." So he says, "You come all the way from India to me, and in India you have this man who is as good as me. Where was the need for you to come here? Haven't you heard of Dr. Ginde?" So such was his reputation. He was internationally known. Yeah. So just mentioning this, and he immediately agreed, despite all this. So yeah, that's how it would be.
And it would be like a 3-day deal for him to come from Bombay?
No, a special car was arranged. So he was brought early in the morning, and he reached here, said, I think by 10 or 11 from Bombay. And then he examined Baba, and he said, "Baba, I'm afraid this pain will be there. I don't know how long it will last. It may last for many months also. But there is one remedy for it, but it's not a good thing." So Baba says, "What is it?" He says, "If I give you an injection of alcohol in the correct place where the pain originates, that will stop your pain." Then Baba says, "Why don't you do it?" But Baba, the bad effect of that will be that it will paralyze part of your facial anatomy, and the paralysis will be permanent.
Wow.
So Baba says, "I don't mind that. The pain is so unbearable. Go ahead, it's interfering with my work. So I would rather that you do this." So, but Baba, this requires very elaborate setting. The needle has to be monitored on X-rays because it has to go the correct position. So Baba says, "Do it here." So somehow Ram Ginde, he would never agree to such a thing here, because it was a very delicate and very dangerous sort of thing. If some mistake occurred, it could blind a person, or it could cause some paralysis where the pain was not there, and then the pain would continue, and so on. The grave risk was there. But somehow he was so overpowered by Baba's personality, so he agreed, He says, "All right." So he tells, "Where can I do it?" So Baba says, "Here in my bedroom." So then he says that it has to be disinfected, and he gave certain instructions to Ghaver and all what's to be done. And then he went, asked Diaries to help him wash his hands and not to touch anything after that. He showed Diaries how to wash hands. So how to, the surgeon's way, how to make the lather come up, which is the main thing which removes bacteria from the hand. He was a very talkative person, mind you. In later years I was associated with him also. So then he comes into the room, and then yes, Baba was made to sit, but then he tells Baba, there's one thing, I have no means to find out whether I've reached the correct spot. So how will I know that? So then Baba says, I'll give you the sign. When you reach the correct spot, I'll make the sign and you will then know that it's the correct spot.
Patience.
Yeah.
Instructions.
So this man, this top neurosurgeon, agrees to all this, And the procedure is to pass a big supporting needle through the temple to reach the spot where this trigeminal junction takes place. And when that needle touches the spot, then to introduce the next needle through this and inject a drop of alcohol in it.
Oh, everyone must have been mortified.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous thing, So see what happens. Now, so this man does that. And Kaka tells me all this. Kaka says that when he heard the needle pass through, it was a big, long needle, and he could barely watch the sight. He almost fainted, he said, to see Baba suffer this. And actually it has to be under anesthesia, but Baba wouldn't agree to that. Yeah.
So Baba was just lying on his bed? Or?
He was sitting upright, I think. Yeah. I'm not sure about that.
Just stay completely still.
Now you would have to ask Gave for all those details. I don't know whether I'm supposed to give out all this. So, in any case, this was done. Baba says he did this and you reached the right spot, Baba said. And how skillful he must have been. Without any monitoring, he must have done so often that he did manage to strike the correct place. And then he did the final injection of the alcohol. And Baba says, the pain is gone. Yeah, it was wonderful. Everybody was so deeply impressed because the constant nagging pain and unbearable pain just it went off. And then it was all right. And then he said, Baba, how do you feel now? He says, excellent. I have no pain now. It's totally gone. So he himself was impressed. Baba, it's your grace that must have happened like this, because I've never done anything like this before in such surroundings. This requires intense monitoring and all that. Anyway, this was done. Everything was finished. He wound up everything. And then what happened is that he packed up everything and he left. I think he couldn't have gone halfway to Nagar. And Baba says, oh, the pain has returned again.
All that?
Yeah.
Oh my.
So somebody was sent running to the pumping station. There was a phone there. And Adi's office was contacted. And they said, when the car comes there, get Ginde on the phone and tell him that this has happened. So they were all standing out of the trust company. It was not the trust, then it was Adi's office. So outside the compound on the roadside they were standing and they waved the car when it came. So they brought the car in and so Ginde came on the phone and I think they phoned back or something and this message was given. So Ginde says, I'm extremely happy that this has happened. Yeah, because otherwise Baba's facial paralysis would have been there. But I'm really happy that the pain has returned. Nothing further can be done about it. But I think all this was an excuse to get Ginde inside his net.
So that began Gindi's long relationship.
Finished. After that, Ginde was all for Baba. And he was so devoted to Baba that first opportunity he would get, he would come running for Baba's darshan or anything. Yeah. And but thereafter the pain did return, but it began to lessen and finally disappeared. So this was that saga of...
What a drama.
Yeah. What suffering.
It makes me think, of what neurosurgeons had their moment. Humanity had its moment with the Avatar, and Baba had that also.
So then at that time, another incident was, as I said, this was after I must have left, or I'm not sure which year also, probably it was later on or what, but this had happened. Yeah. But before this, while I was still at Meherazad, and this tense situation was there, and Baba was so withdrawn, and all this was going on. Great big problem was on the hands of all the Mandli, because a few months prior to that, Ben, Heyman and Joseph Harm were to visit Meherazad. And Baba had frequently been cancelling and postponing their trip to Meherazad. They were to come all the way from the States to be with Baba. And before Baba was having this problem, and he was still in seclusion, mind you, he sent a cable to Ben and Joseph. He would call them Benjo, to rhyme with banjo. So he writes to them, he sends a cable that Baba's health is not too good, but despite this and frequent postponements, he gives them an option that either they could come now as planned for 5 days, or later on in February or so for 7 days. So wire back what you prefer. And very soon the reply came that they want the 5 days right now. So the Mandli also were happy that they were coming at this time. But then everybody was concerned, because these people were coming, Baba's health is such, he wasn't responding to anything, and how would their visit be? The poor fellows would come all the way and see Baba like this. Anyway, so when that reply came, and the visit was yet to materialize, and there was few days left, and Erad says, Baba, why not cancel their visit? No, Baba says, if I cancel it now, their hearts will be broken, so let them come. But Baba, your condition is such, how could you attend to them? So he says, we'll see, let them come. So then they came. So on the day of their coming, Baba was, as it were, at the nadir point. Extremely depressed, very tired, and very disinterested in anything. And then on the day they were coming, Baba was becoming very restless. So he says, when are they coming? Every now and then he would ask, Baba, they are coming at must have left now Bombay, they must be on the way. And frequently he would inquire. Then he says, why not phone and find out if they have left Bombay, so some phones were sent. All the while a person would be running to the phone back and forth, some message. Then it was found that they had left Pune, because we phoned Pune and Meherji was to come along with them. So Meherji's house was contacted and it was given out that they left at such and such a time. So then Baba says, that's good. But then he kept worrying, why has the car not come yet? So, but Baba, it will take time. I hope they don't go into any accident. I feel there will be an accident. So restless he was, and he made us all very restless too. Then he tells me, you go, take the car and see if they are on the way, make them come quickly here, because I want to go inside, and before that they must be here. So I quickly go in Baba's car, and as I was going up the hill there, and I reach the crest of the hill, and I see Meherji's green car coming along. And I take the car aside and get on the roadside and start waving frantically. Quick. And I saw Adi Jr. was driving the car. He also had been called.
From England?
Yeah, from England. He joined them on the way as they were passing through England. I think Adi joined them. So he was driving the car, and I motioned to him, quick, Baba. I shouted, Baba wants you as quickly as possible, and he speeded on, And it was Meherji's brand new Chevrolet, so it just zoomed past, And then we turned our car and we followed post haste to watch what happens here. Now Baba is there, seated here, and when they come in, and we followed them inside, and then to see Baba, the change that took place in Baba, it's just we cannot describe in words how this could possibly happen. From a picture of absolute dejection and pain and sort of withdrawn look, Baba suddenly brightened up, and we could see the color just coming into his cheeks and face, and he became so ruddy and so radiant. When these three people trooped in, and when Baba says, how do I look? And they said, Baba, you look radiant and beautiful. And all the Manli just looking at each other. Every time this would happen, and every time we would not cease to wonder what happened. And it's a different, altogether different sort of appearance. And they were very happy to see Baba, and Baba suddenly cheered up, and a wave of cheer was spreading in the Mandli also. After months of this sort of thing, So a different atmosphere started to prevail. And then for 5 or 6 days that they were here, Baba was totally different, Yeah. He was giving them discourses and listening to music.
The liveliness
was there. All the humor was there. All that was gone. And so we could see that Baba could just stop that phase of his work and give himself so much to his lovers who had come. Yeah. Of course, at what cost we knew, because at the end of the day then it would be a different picture inside.
Right.
Yeah, they would be all exhausted and again very weary, a different spectacle altogether.
From having to come out and be
Yeah.
cheerful and pouring out
Yeah.
love.
But not a trace of that would be visible, mind you. Yeah. So they would be extremely happy to see Baba and so radiant and glorious.
So they would have had no inkling.
No, absolutely nothing. Yeah. And then Baba would tell them that you have no idea what I'm suffering. You see me so radiant and glorious, but inwardly you have no idea what I'm passing through. But it was so many words for them.
Right. I mean, how do you believe that unless you've seen it?
That's right. But for us who had seen the previous phase, we knew what he was saying. At least we had this slight idea, just the external thing that we were seeing. Internally, what suffering he was undergoing, he alone knew.
I mean, all the miracles of Baba, I mean, when an ordinary person is in a depressed and dejected state, it isn't possible to come out and create a wonderful, cheerful mood.
Yeah.
People can't do it.
No.
Whereas for Baba, just his will, out of his will it could happen.
It showed that the physical suffering was also a part of his universal work, that he was making his body suffer for taking on the suffering of entire humanity and the universe at large. Yeah. So
one thing that occurs to me is, with this suffering in this phase of Baba's, is that the cast of characters had changed in the mandali through the death of people like Gani, or I guess Gani comes to mind. I don't know, Gustaji, some of the ones especially Gani's specialization was in cracking jokes in those sense. Whereas those people were not so much in the picture at this point. Is that true?
No, they died. Yeah.
I mean to say that, Gustaji was not, I suppose, a jokester as such, but he would tell these tall tales. So some of the people who really had that role particularly to lighten the mood had been gone.
Yeah, but there was another character that came, and that was Ilcha Mistri. So he replaced this aspect of the whole scene. So whenever this would happen, and in fact when Baba was like this, Hiraj would say, should I call Ilcha Baba? He'll lighten your mood or something. So Baba at that time even wouldn't want Ilcha to be there. He wanted it to be like that. But at other times, if it would become too much, then Ilcha would be called. And he was a man who would really make you lose all your blues. And he was such a cheerful person that, we would tell tall tales and had such a funny, loud voice and a hearty laughter. So he would regale Baba with such absurd stories and lighten the atmosphere up. So he was a character that got introduced after the new life. And he was from Dehradun. Actually, he was the cousin of Naushirwan Anzar's mother.
Oh. Part of that family.
Part of
Nalavali.
From his mother's side.
Right.
They were first cousins. So Ilcha was there. He was a very funny fellow. His uncle, Ilcha's uncle, mind you, was Major Bamji. And Major Bamji and Colonel Irani were pals in the army. The two main antagonists of Baba.
Major Bamji was himself a big enemy of Baba.
So, and Ilcha was the nephew of Major Bamji. So, when Ilcha was drawn so close to Baba, so he would still go to his uncle's house and talk to him and say, Uncle, you are wasting your lifetime. You don't know what you are missing and all that. So his aunt would intercede. Elisha, don't do that. His heart might stop. He gets so peeved when you tell him all these things. So Elisha would say, it's nice if it stops while I'm telling him Baba things. And he tells all this to Baba in such a funny manner that his aunt was saying his clock would stop ticking. Not the heart would fail, but his clock would stop ticking. Baba would be amused by the expressions he would use. Yeah. So that is how we got this character later on. And he was there even much after Baba passed away physically.
Yeah.
And he died later. But we missed him a lot after that, yeah. Otherwise he would cheer up everybody.
Yeah.
So, as I was saying then, yeah, we had a different sort of atmosphere for the days. Ben, Heyman and Joseph Hab were there. And Baba would take them for sightseeing trips around in the neighboring places. And while we were driving past, I remember, it's just by the way, that I happened to see Khandoba's temple, and I started to point out that is Khandoba's temple. And Ben was rather short of hearing, so he didn't follow what I was saying. The Baba says, speak louder, let him hear what you're saying. So that was just one of the little incidents.
Something which has been said in this hall many a time since then.
What's that?
Speak louder.
Yeah, speak louder.
It seems like nowadays.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
So in the later days, Baba also was a little short of hearing, mind you. So he would always ask us to speak up, speak up. If I would interpret Baba's signs, I learned a little bit. So I would say softly and he would say, speak up. Erich would tell me, speak up, Baba wants you to speak up. He can't hear properly.
Did Baba's vision ever weaken?
Well, he wouldn't read anything, no. But he would see photographs, and I thought he saw them all right. Yeah.
Could he recognize people at a distance?
Oh yes,
always?
oh yes. He had that sparkle in his eyes till the end. Very lively eyes. So another thing I remember was Ben Heyman was an osteopath. I don't know what that sort of medical term is, but it was a sort of body adjustments that they would do, unlike the chiropractors. So he expressed a wish that he would like to adjust Baba's body. And Baba was after the accident, so he was having problems with the body. So Baba agreed to it. So he was delighted that he would get the chance of handling Baba's precious body. So I remember a table was put outside here, and it was in the open, of course. So we held Baba on the table, and then Baba was made to lie flat on his back, and then he went and stretched Baba's legs to the full, and he says, now relax completely. And then he went over to the head, to Baba's head side, and then he put his hands below the neck and did some sort of as if he was balancing Baba's entire head in his fingers in a very delicate sort of way. Baba's head was swaying to and fro. He says, Baba, relax. You mustn't move your head yourself. Just let it go. And he was sort of giving a sort of tug towards himself from the base of the skull or something. And after that, it was over. And then Baba says, yes, he felt very nice after that. Some sort of alignment comes in the spine, he was saying. I don't know what it meant. Then he says, Baba, I want to show this to one of the mandali so that they can do it when my absence. So then Erach was made to lie down. And or I don't know whether he did it to Erach. No, I was made to lie on the table, and he showed Erach how to do it to me.
So you were the guinea pig.
Yeah, and Baba and all watching me there. So yeah, you do feel nice the way it was done. So I picked up a bit also. And it's a sort of easy adjustment in the neck. It gives a sort of pull and relaxes your spine quite a bit. So Ben was happy no end to have been given the privilege to adjust Baba's body.
Baba seems to have provided the medically inclined among his lovers and disciples with many opportunities.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
No doubt he did great work on medicine.
Of course. So that's how Ginde got into the net. Getting all those awful things done on his body and trapping him securely. So that was Ben. Yeah, when we would play music there, Baba remarked, Ben was very deaf, had become very deaf. And Baba says, I remember him remarking, oh, it's a pity that Ben has become deaf also. It's difficult to get him to take part in some conversation or the other, because Ben would not pick up quickly what Baba would say. So it was a strain on Baba, But that was it. Yeah. So after a few days, after a very happy stay of about less than a week, maybe about 5 days or so, then they left happily. Then Baba sent a very nice cable later, something to do with banjo and banjo, but I don't recollect all the exact words. You might find that in Mani's family letters also.
I remember the expression banjo used there. Baba would often come up with nicknames.
Yeah.
What was it? Kimco.
Kimco, yeah.
Earlier days.
So he was famous for his different type of names he would give to people. Yes, so that was the end of, I think, 1960. And then I returned home, and probably after that Ginde must have come. I'm not sure which year, but I think it was then. And then there was the time for Baba to come to Pune.
1961.
Yeah, so Baba sent word that Guru Prasad should be made ready as usual. And we were all busy preparing Guru Prasad. But Baba was still in seclusion. So that time he, I think, sent word that he wouldn't be seeing any of his lovers. So I remember that when Baba came into Guru Prasad also, none of us was allowed to be present. And Baba came into Guru Prasad with the mandali on his own. Nobody was allowed to. All Pune lovers was specifically warned that if they disturbed Baba, he would just abruptly wind up his visit and return to Meherazad. So they should help Baba in his work because he was still in seclusion and didn't want to be disturbed. Later on, if he if he liked, then he might allow people to, whomsoever he wanted, he would allow them to come. But none on their own should ever venture to step into Guru Prasad. So 1961 stay started in a very somber fashion. And Guru Prasad was really quiet, unlike previous stays when it would be buzzing with activity and darshan and all that. It was all quiet, and Baba lovers took great pains not even to go near that locality also. And Baba kept in seclusion and carried on his work there. But he called me once there, and I had gone there. At that time I was also having a sort of depressed spell or something. So Baba called me to Guru Prasad, and when I was seated there, I saw him playing table tennis with Francis. Yeah, I still have that picture in my mind. So Baba, of course, was having this hip joint pain. So he was seated on a sort of high stool, the one end of the table center, and Francis was at the other, and they were playing away fast. And Baba was returning so well despite his physical handicap and having to sit and play. But he was playing very well.
Was Francis a good player?
Yeah, Francis was a nice player, fairly good. Yeah. And Baba would make him run from one end of the table to the other. So after some time, the game was stopped. So Baba, they were trying to give Baba some exercise, because he needed exercise in the body. So I remember that we bought a sort of baby carriage, a pram, and we removed all the trappings, and it was just a frame with 4 wheels. And then instead of Baba walking with sticks and crutches, it started to wink.
Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.